I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Welcome to Camnet TV Main News, the headlines. Stakeholders reject the EU proposal to scrap off the grade 12 requirement for politicians. The Supreme Court overturns the liquidation of the Post newspapers. CDF not full colleges and universities. In international news, French President and European allies announced their withdrawal from Mali. And in sports, Zambia Chess Federation confident that GILLIAN BWALYA will bring medals. Join me with the details after this commercial. Are you a qualified and skilled marketing person? Have you got the passion and motivation as a marketer? Camnet TV is looking for self-motivated, qualified marketers. For more details, please call 0962 965 883 or send your details to the email info@camnettvafrica.com. Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Are you a talented and gifted soccer player? Camnet Stars will be conducting trials for young players between the age of 14 and 16 years. You never know, you could be America or Europe bound this July.
We need to pick some players so that we can come up with a very powerful squad which is supposed to travel outside the country and do a lot of work for Zambian football.
Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School Playgrounds. Time, 14 hours. You could be the next big soccer star in Europe. See you this Sunday, 20th February 2022.
And now the main news in detail. Stakeholders have rejected the recommendation by the European Union Election Observation Mission to scrap off the grade 12 certificate requirements for office bearers. Patriots for Economic Progress President Sean Tembo says the recommendation is retrogressive, suggesting it could work at the local government level. Meanwhile, electoral expert McDonald Jipenzi says the country needs educated leaders, adding that a grade 12 certificate is a minimum requirement that many citizens have and continued to acquire. He says going forward, the country must begin to discuss a degree as a minimum requirement at parliamentary and presidential levels.
Leading people or standing in front is not easy, especially in a country where English is an official language.
Now is the time to work. We must serve the people of Mbala with respect.
The 2021 general election was a heated one, with a number of dynamics being witnessed during the poll, which saw the United Party for National Development, UPND Hakainde Hichilema, emerge victorious, taking over from Patriotic Front, PF's Edgar Lungu. The European Union Election Observation Mission made some recommendations following the holding of the August 12 general election, among them the proposal to scrap off the grade 12 requirement to make it easy for parties to find candidates. Zambians prescribed this requirement to improve the quality of leaders and debate in the National Assembly and council meetings, among other platforms. The quality of leaders has always been a matter of concern.
If you cannot support the president, the one who is producing money, because he's the one who can sign, can you sink a dam, can you drum a dam? It's only the president.
And electoral expert McDonald Jipenzi says the grade 12 requirement must be maintained.
Thus, I think we feel that is not the right way to go, especially in the second millennium. Everyone is aspiring to have educated population, and if we, on one hand, we are giving free education, on the other hand, we are saying no, even if you are not educated, you can aspire for office. I think that is a contradiction.
He adds that the country must start talking about increasing qualifications at parliamentary and presidential levels.
Education qualification should actually be upped, increased, especially at parliamentary level. We don't want people who go into parliament who cannot even read, who cannot even pronounce the word like procrastination. They will start crack. We don't want such people who will be speaking like frogs in parliament. We want people who are able to articulate issues, people who are able to study these voluminous documents that are at parliament, people who can research, and not just from say, yeah, you go to the bar. And then from the bar you become a rumpen, and then tomorrow you say I'm an MP. No.
We also spoke to Patriots for Economic Progress leader Sean Tembo.
Candidates at presidential level as well as parliamentary level have a huge task that they need to execute in terms of formulating laws and of course running the affairs of the nation. It is from the pool of members of parliament, remember, where ministers are appointed. And so if we are going to have people holding such levels of responsibility, they need to have certain minimum, qualifications. And therefore the grade 12 requirement is appropriate at parliamentary and presidential level.
He, however, believes that there can be an exemption of the grade 12 certificate requirement at local government level.
However, when you look at a councillor and the duties of a councillor and the responsibilities of a councillor, you realize that a councillor is more of a community leader. And we do not believe that for someone to be a community leader, they need to have certain minimum qualifications. They do not.
They say democracy is about tolerating divergent views. Patrick Soko, Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Kanyama Member of Parliament Monty Chinkuli has clarified that the 25.7 million kwacha Constituency Development Fund has no provision for student loans who are in higher institutions of learning. Mr. Chinkuli says the 20% allocated towards the secondary boarding schools and skills development bursary scheme from the CDF has only been extended to benefit those in skills training institutions and not colleges and universities. Meanwhile, according to the CDF guideline, that application for skills training bursary shall be submitted together with an admission or acceptance letter from any TVETA accredited public or private institution or the Zambia National Service.
Sunday, 13th February 2022, Camnet television aired a story in which a University of Zambia student could not report at the institution due to lack of financing.
I was admitted into the university, and I also applied for student loan, but I was left out due to some reasons. So I'm appealing to the government or to any well-wisher to help me out, to help me achieve my dreams as a medical doctor. I applied in the School of Natural Sciences.
The story, however, caught the attention of many viewers who suggested that the girl should be taken to the area member of parliament so that she can be supported through the loan and grant financing facilities under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. However, Kanyama Member of Parliament Monte Chinkuli, when contacted for a comment, told this reporter that there is no provision in the Constituency Development Fund which supports persons in higher institutions of learning, such as universities and colleges. According to the MP, the 20% allocated towards the secondary boarding schools and skills development bursary schemes from CDF has only been extended to benefit those in skills training institutions and the Zambia National Service.
There is this misconception of people thinking that if my child goes to Unza, CBU, for example, they are supposed to be to benefit from the CDF under bursary. That is no. The bursary is extended, other than the grade 12, is extended to those institutions that are under TVETA. Those institutions that are providing skills like Lusaka Trades and a few other institutions. Those are the ones that are supposed to come to the constituency and apply for the CDF.
And Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Garin Kombo has guided in the CDF guidelines that the application for the skills training bursaries shall be submitted together with an admission or acceptance letter from a TVETA accredited public or private institution or the Zambia National Service. This means that only those who are at skills training institutions are eligible for bursaries under CDF and not those in colleges and universities. Members of the general public have since been advised to read the CDF guidelines to avoid misinformation. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Lupia Combined School in Masaiti District's Chief Chiwala's area has received a donation of 2 furnished laboratories and 2x2 classroom block from Dangote Cement, Zambia. The school, which has over 1,500 pupils, has had challenges in practical examination due to unavailability of these facilities. School head teacher Melon Musonda explains that the pupils were initially subjected to theoretical teaching, which made it difficult for the pupils to fully perform well against other schools. And handing over the donation, Dangote Cement Zambia Chief Executive Officer Vipul Agwel notes that the children who are prospects of working for Dangote need to be equipped with the right skills for future use in science and technology. He said the project, which costed the company close to 1.5 million, is part of the company's corporate social responsibility aimed at uplifting the living standards of the people.
Science and technology is said to be a major catalyst for economic growth, development and transformation for many countries, Zambia inclusive. Upon taking over the wheels of the Zambian economy, President Hakainde Hichilema promised to promote technology with the target of attracting investment in the first 5 years of his administration. But what is science and technology without proper school science laboratories where it all begins? Most schools in the rural community have challenges teaching science-related subjects due to non-availability of practical laboratories and apparatus to use in these facilities. One such school is Lupia Combined School in Masaiti District, Copperbelt Province, where pupils have in the past years failed to compete favorably with other schools in science due to the theoretical part of science teaching. The sad state of affairs prompted Dangote Cement operating in the area to construct 2 fully equipped school laboratories for the pupils aimed at enhancing their learning.
Projects which we have now commissioning today from the august hands of our district commissioner is the science laboratory and the classroom. These we have made a spending of almost 500,000 kwacha on this. We are also putting up a borehole here because we were told that the students don't have access to good water. So that project will also take off in a few weeks. It's already
one of the example that our care for our community, the host community. So you see there was no laboratory here, chemical laboratory. You students used to go all the way to near Endola, some school, to do the examinations. So when we met your headmistress, teacher told us that our students are suffering. So that was our first project. Then another visit, I saw your students sleeping there in the boarding room in a very bad situation. It was very pity that they are sleeping on the floor. So, and then immediately I request our CEO to sanction some money to renovate those 2 rooms, and we are going to put some beds and a study table so that the boarding students can have a decent place to live and study. So this is our second project, and there are many other projects we are going to do.
Lupia Combined School head teacher Melanie Musonda explains that pupils were walking long distances to schools that have such facilities which affected their learning outcomes.
We are learning from abstract in terms of practicals, and from the mobile science laboratories that we had, there was a lot of inconveniences taking place to move apparatus from one place to the other, and there was a lot of damages going on with the apparatus because the apparatus were kept in the deputy teacher's office.
And Mary Chapota, a pupil, could not hide her joy of having to take science practicals at her school.
I'm glad today to witness the special handover of this important specialized room, the 2 science laboratories and the 2 classroom Europe. Other one will act as the boys' dormitory. Guest of honor, we used to rent much of our science theoretically due to lack of specialized rooms, like this we are witnessing today. We used to shift apparatus and equipment from one classroom to another, which in most cases resulted in the loss of time and breakages of equipment.
Meanwhile, Masaiti District Commissioner says government
has upgraded the primary schools into combined schools, running from preschool to grade 12. Therefore, there is need for more of this kind of structure, not only in Pia combined school, but also other schools within the Masaiti district. As government, we will do everything possible to provide necessary help towards improving the learning environment of a child.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News.
Meanwhile, Lusaka High Court Judge Sunday Nkonde has petitioned the Constitutional Court seeking an order of a certiorari to remove into the High Court for purpose of quashing the decision of the Judicial Complaint Commission to hear and determine a complaint made against him by Dr. Fred Membe, a shareholder of Post newspaper in 2017 when the matter was already determined upon. This is in a matter in which Judge Nkonde has cited the Attorney General as the respondent. Judge Nkonde states that by proceedings to hear Dr. Membe's complaint, the JCC has failed or neglected to protect the independence of the judiciary, which it is mandated to protect, contrary to Article 1224 of the Constitution.
A Lusaka High Court Judge Sunday Nkonde, who appointed Lewis Mosho as the provisional liquidator in November 2016 for the Post newspaper limited, has rushed to the Constitutional Court to file a petition seeking a declaration that the action by the Judicial Complaint Commission to hear the complaint that was filed against him by Dr. Fred Membe in 2017, when he had already given a ruling and the parties did not appeal, is inconsistent with the provision of Article 8, A and C of the Constitution of Zambia. Judge Nkonde, who has cited the Attorney General as the respondent, submits before court that in 2016, Andrew Chiwenda and 4 other former employees of the Post newspaper commenced a liquidation proceedings against the Post. He adds that during the hearing of the case, a number of applications were made before him to make a decision, among them the application to appoint a provisional liquidator for the Post newspaper. The petitioner has told the Constitutional Court that he proceeded to discharge his judicial functions and made a decision on these applications, among others, to which no party or aggrieved person made an appeal. He explains before the Constitutional Court that in February 2017, a shareholder of the Post newspaper, Dr. Fred Membe, being the aggrieved with the decision he rendered under the said case, decided to lodge a complaint against him before the Judicial Complaint Commission. Judge Nkonde submits that the Judicial Complaint Commission proceeded to hear and determine the complaint in his absence and subsequently found him with a prima facie and submitted to the President that he should be suspended as a High Court judge to allow the Commission to conduct a hearing of the complaint by Dr. Fred Membe. But he commenced a judicial review proceedings against the Attorney General, and leave was granted by one of the High Court judge to take out judicial review proceedings. Judge Nkonde has told the Constitutional Court that despite the guidance by the High Court, the Judicial Complaint Commission has decided to proceed to reopen or hear the complaint by Dr. Fred Membe dated February 10, 2017, and have summoned him to appear before them. Judge Nkonde adds that by him being summoned and purported to be subject to disciplinary proceeding over the ruling made in the course of performing his judicial function, the JCC has interfered with the performance of his judicial function contrary to Section 122(2) of the Constitution of Zambia. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In other news, The Supreme Court has overturned the liquidation of the Post newspaper as it was illegal. Delivering judgment Thursday morning, Chief Justice BWALYA has since ordered the Lusaka High Court to restart the liquidation proceedings of the company with the view of ensuring compliance with the relevant legal provision is followed. The court has also ordered the provincial liquidator Lewis Marshall be joined to the said proceedings and make an account, even though he may have finished selling the assets of the defunct newspaper.
After 6 years of non-operational and fighting legal battles, the Supreme Court has given a landmark judgment Thursday, the 17th of February 2022, in which it has declared that the liquidation of the Post newspaper limited was illegal. Chief Justice BWALYA, who read the judgment on behalf of other judges, has also ordered that the Lusaka High Court reopen the liquidation proceedings of the Post newspaper with a view of ensuring compliance with the relevant legal provisions. This is in a case in which 5 former Post newspaper employees, among them Abe Mbozi, Andrew Chwenda, Roy Hambalu, Bonaventure Walya, Mwendabaye Mwene, and the Zambia Revenue Authority applied that the Post newspaper limited be closed on account that it had no capacity to pay its creditors. The 5 workers had applied before court that the Post had failed to pay them their salaries and emoluments amounting to 815,000, while ZRA claimed that the media institution failed to discharge its tax obligations. With the court having heard these submissions, Lusaka High Court Judge Sunday Konde then appointed lawyer Lewis Marshall as the provisional liquidator of the Post newspaper in 2016, who then entered a consent order for the closure of the company. Not satisfied with the lower court's ruling, the Post newspaper then appealed to the Court of Appeal against the said decision. Unfortunately, the appeal was struck out. Still determined, Post Managing Director Dr. Fred Membe then appealed to the Supreme Court against the said decision, where judgment this morning was delivered, with the Supreme Court in its further judgment ordering that Post provisional liquidator Lewis Marshall be part of the proceedings when the case restart before the Lusaka High Court. We wait to see how this case will unfold when it commences before the lower court. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Livingstone Press Club has welcomed the decision of the Supreme Court to overturn the liquidation of the Post newspaper. Club President Messi Ngoma says this development is a win for the media fraternity who continue to work under difficult conditions in the quest to disseminate information to the masses. She explains that the Post newspaper played a key role in providing checks and balances to the 3 arms of government as a 4th estate. Mrs. Ngoma adds that it is worth nothing that the Supreme Court's decision sets a precedent to how the 4th estate, which is the media, should be treated in a democratic dispensation like Zambia. She says democracy can only thrive where there is free, independent media environment to act as a watchdog by holding leaders accountable.
So as Livingstone Press Club, we do welcome the overturning of the liquidation of the Post newspaper. The Post newspaper, as you may know, played a very pivotal role as regards giving checks and balances to the government then. The Post newspaper also provided employment, and it also provided the much needed information to the public. So really the overturning of the liquidation of the newspaper for us, it really brings us joy. But we also call on media houses to continue being professional as well as following media ethics.
The Energy Regulation Board has advised members of the general public to disregard the reported revised charges by ZESCO for electricity connection and separation of meters. ERB Public Relations Manager Namkolo Kansupa says the board is not in receipt of any application from ZESCO Limited to vary its connection charges as legally required under the Energy Regulation and Electricity Act. On the 15th of February 2022, ZESCO had confirmed to Camnet TV that indeed the power utility company had started charging the actual amount as contained in their plans.
Zambia's power utility company ZESCO had on Tuesday, 15 February 2022, revealed that it was revising electricity connection and separation of meters. ZESCO Senior Corporate Affairs Manager Dr. John Kunda told Camnet News in an interview that the electricity connection fee will be placed at 6,995 kwacha from 1,700 and that meter separation fees will be placed at 6,000 from 750 kwacha. Dr. Kunda explained that the move was not an increment but a reflection of the true market price, adding that the decision will not be changed as the current way of operation is not sustainable.
The use of cost-reflective connection fees will continue, meaning that when we come to your property and assess your needs, so the technical specifications that will be assessed and priced, that is the amount that is going to reflect on the quotation, and that is what the client is going to pay. We are no longer going to deflate the figure, because previously we would conduct a technical assessment, bring the figures into our system, and deflate the figure to something lower.
In a twist of event, the Energy Regulation Board, ERB, has expressed ignorance over ZESCO's intention, saying the ERB board did not receive any application from ZESCO Limited to vary its connection charges, as legally required under the Energy Regulation Act No. 12 of 2019 and the Electricity Act No. 11 of 2019. In a statement made available to the media, ERB Manager Public Relations Namukolo Kasumpa says ZESCO is further bound to strict adherence of the governing conditions in the standard license for the supply of electricity. Ms. Kasumpa has informed the public that at the last tariff application in 2019, ZESCO applied for a revision of electricity tariff and connection charges, and that at the time, only tariffs were approved and revised. The application by ZESCO to revise connection charges by 213% were deferred, pending an in-depth study and further consultation by ZESCO. As such, ZESCO was guided to resubmit an application for connection fee once these conditions were met. Further, ERB says for the avoidance of doubt, the Energy Regulation Act under Section 4J vests the power and functions to determine, regulate and review charges and tariffs in the ERB. The Energy Regulation Board has since advised members of the general public to disregard the reported revised charges by ZESCO for electricity connections and separation of meters. The question that then arises is who is to blame for the confusion. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Kafue Member of Parliament Miriam Chonya has urged industries and manufacturing companies to safeguard the welfare of their workers, stating that reports of ill treatment at such places have been numerous over the past 2 years. Speaking when she toured Universal Mining and Chemical Industry Limited, locally known as Kafue Steel, on Thursday, Ms. Chonya adds that government will create policies to ensure that Zambian companies continue to thrive and contribute positively to the country's development. Meanwhile, Company Director Dr. Julius Kalma has appealed to the Ministry of Energy to ensure that such companies are not affected by anticipated electricity hike, as this may lead to a laying off of workers due to reduced production.
As Zambia aspires to rise from its third world status to a developed country, industries have been identified as one way of achieving this goal through the provision of raw materials as well as employment opportunities for locals. For Zambia's smaller districts such as Kafue, industries could be the lifeblood as they are the major sources of employment. Kafue Member of Parliament Ms. Miriam Chonya has however expressed concern about the working conditions at such places, stating that reports about alleged worker mistreatment are on the rise. She was speaking when visiting Universal Mining and Chemical Industries Limited, locally known as Kafue Steel, to assess worker welfare and get a general overview of the work done following reports of worker ill treatment. Ms. Chonya has further advised such companies not to only aim at paying workers minimum wage, as they make huge profits.
Surely I wouldn't expect you to be aiming at paying your workers the barest minimum.
as though it was the housemaid, being paid. And I'm saying this against the background of also some documentation that I've been privileged to come across as we had been trying to resolve some of the issues concerning some of your former employees who have some claims against the company. I think we've had those discussions with the HR, although the issues remain unconcluded and they are still going on.
Meanwhile, company human resource manager Mr. Richard BWALYA has dismissed the allegations. He adds that the company strictly follows the labor laws and is open for inspections.
So that disciplinary code of conduct has been attested by the government. So we have to implement accordingly. So we implemented accordingly. Those people who are involved in the illegal organization of an illegal strike, we separated. That's what the disciplinary code of conduct says. And that's what the law says. So this matter also was referred to the Ministry of Labor. Last year we had also pre-sittings. And the team were caught with almost 11 offenses which they created. And they were told by the Assistant Labor Commissioner or the Commission to say what you did was wrong because you caused the company to lose $42,000 in 2 days.
In adding his voice, Kafue Steel Director Dr. Julius Kaoma has cautioned against increasing electricity tariffs for such companies, even as the country anticipates a tariff hike, stating that this could result in laying off of workers due to reduced production.
When you increase the electricity, the tariff also will reduce the production so that we can stabilize our operations, and in the future when it stabilizes, when we can increase it. That means you have to start declare some people redundant, and we don't want the redundancy.
Meanwhile, company managing director Mr. Ashutosh Charan has called for policies that will support Zambian companies such as Kafue Steel, stating that they are competing unevenly with foreign ones on the market. The area MP has assured such companies of continued government support through good policies, urging them to help their communities through corporate social responsibility. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Kafue District.
You're watching Camnet TV main news. We now take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
We welcome you to the wonderful world of Savenda Electronics.
At Savenda Electronics, we pride ourselves in manufacturing high-quality electricity and water meters.
Boasting of the first of its kind state-of-the-art manufacturing plant in Zambia, Savenda Electronics manufactures customized smart electricity and water meters of international standards for both the local and international water and electricity utility companies. Our highly computerized factory, run by qualified staff, makes, calibrates, and electronically tests the smart meters to ensure only those meeting customer specifications are delivered to the market. Some of the main features which come with our meters includes notifications about low units, tempering, low battery, and many more customized features. Savenda Electronics provides on and off-site after-sales service and has favorable contract terms for water and electricity utility companies. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Are you a qualified and skilled marketing person? Have you got the passion and motivation as a marketer? Camnet TV is looking for self-motivated, qualified marketers. For more details, please call 0962 965 883 or send your details to the email info@camnettvafrica.com.
Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Are you a talented and gifted soccer player? Camnet Stars will be conducting trials for young players between the age of 14 and 16 years. You never know, you could be America or Europe bound this July.
We need to pick some players so that we can come up with a very powerful squad which is supposed to travel outside the country and do a lot of work for Zambian football.
Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School Playgrounds. Time, 14 hours. You could be the next big soccer star in Europe. See you this Sunday, 20th February 2022.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the rest of the main news. Western Province Minister Kapelwa Bangweta has challenged companies illegally in harvesting timber in various parts of Zambia for furniture purposes to exercise social corporate responsibility by supporting the education sector in those areas. The Western Province Minister says this should be done in support of the new administration's aspirations that no pupil should sit on the floor, stating that this is still the case in many public schools despite these areas being rich in timber. He was speaking when receiving 50 school desks valued at 42,500 kwacha for Agape and Mukoshela community schools of Nkeyema constituency in Western Province from a local company sourcing its timber from the province.
Our competitive advantage, one of them is timber, rosewood particularly. So what we are expecting is that that timber would be exploited lawfully, and that the local people will also participate in that business. And the part of our approach is that, for example, the making of desks where this timber is coming from should be done in the constituencies themselves. So, for example, if that timber was cut from Kaoma, we would expect that the desks are made in Kaoma. The local people, the youth, participate in that arrangement so that they value both for the local communities and also the schools.
Residents of Mutendere B near Mahatma Gandhi school grounds have called for the forming of neighborhood watch specifically aimed at manning indiscriminate waste disposal at night. In interviews, the residents are irked that barely 24 hours after the infamous garbage heap at the school grounds was cleared out by the Lusaka City Council on Wednesday, and scrupulous people have again begun dumping waste there. Meanwhile, Area Councillor Mr. Boniface Chibeka says he has identified a group of 60 people who will be going around the compound at night to man against illegal waste disposal.
Indiscriminate waste disposal has posed as a health hazard to many communities for a long time, as unscrupulous people tend to dump waste at undesignated places at night in trying to evade paying waste collection fees. The same has prevailed at Mutendere Section B area near Mahatma Gandhi school grounds for years, to an extent that part of the road was beginning to get closed off by the garbage. Residents living near the illegal dump site raised various concerns, among which were the maggots, which they often said got carried up to their doorsteps after a heavy downpour. This brought about possible health hazards like diarrhea and other waterborne diseases. After many months of residents advocating for the garbage mound to be removed, the Lusaka City Council on Wednesday moved in to clear the garbage in order to restore sanity to the area. A check by Camnet News Thursday morning, however, revealed that new sacks of garbage have been dumped barely 24 hours after the garbage was cleared. Residents spoken to have called for a neighborhood watch if the problem is to be solved.
Kuno kumtendere bantu niwovuta. Muzatapa twakirina eri moda bofti pay up futi twamboteira hapo ngono. Seni pay up so. Wanachuko kirina mai. So bantu kuno kufunga at least orubapanga tati. Ngatuanga pangeporo something wapanga kochero kadepo kakutati papeze ka muntu angala pamene paje
nani sta complain tambera buna chola la kansela batu but zira kuni baleta mabini akuni majanki so tufuna kwa solution yetu papa odeke ba step of it fast Immediate mailo, but let's consider the man of my 16 hours. It's not going to die at the Melvin. I said, but from what I have, like a consent, Pari, really no matter particular consent Pari in the press.
Papa Neka Bruno Mabini Zana Vara Road. So, it's a very funny kappa. It's a funny kappa, Pafunica security. Napagankara security, Pagankara Bin. So, Pacolera, Chani, is one of Pakistan Manini Mabini.
In a phone interview, Area Councillor Mr. Boniface Chiweka says he's working on having a neighborhood watch formed not only for garbage but also to curb crime.
Right now, in fact, not only in Manhattan Beach section, in fact, they are forming my neighborhoods also to curb crime and that garbage dumping. So those neighborhoods which I'm forming myself, right, section form about 60 men who there will be 60 every section of Mtendele. Then that one, it won't just be specifically for garbage, no. Even for crime, the crime levels have gone up. People are attacking people at night, they're beating people at night. So those neighborhoods are coming up. Very soon you hear about those neighborhoods.
He has emphasized on mindset change among community members, stating that they are acting as enemies of themselves by practicing indiscriminate waste disposal. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A resident of Lima Ward in George Compound of Matero constituency has welcomed the move by government of getting people vaccinated against cholera. In an interview with Camnet News, she says the vaccine will protect members of the public from contracting cholera. Meanwhile, Lima Ward Councillor Daniel Mwewa has encouraged members of the public to get vaccinated against cholera in order to combat the disease.
Tama mankwala ya kolera. Monse mwene kera kumwa mankwala ya kolera. Osa yopa kuchingiriza matenda.
Although cholera is a preventable disease, it remains a significant public health problem globally. Each year, there are 1.3 to 4.0 million cases of cholera and 21,000 to 143,000 deaths worldwide. Zambia has experienced cholera outbreaks since 1977, and the country's last major outbreak lasted from October 2017 to June 2018, with a total of 5,933 reported cases and 114 deaths. That said, a resident of Lima Ward in George Compound of Matero constituency has welcomed the move by government of getting people vaccinated against cholera. She discloses that the vaccine will help members of the public not to get contracted against cholera.
Mankwala nina matipata utichingiriza cholera. Tonga ziko momaningi. Tani pira. Ziko kuno kwa George. Kama mbalu chembe. Tama mankwala ya cholera. Monse mwene kera kumwa mankwala ya cholera. Osa yopa kuchingiriza matenda. Zikomo kamba ka cholera. Nonga zikomo mani.
Meanwhile, Lima Ward Councillor Daniel Mwewa has encouraged members of the public to get vaccinated against cholera in order to combat the disease.
So when I heard about this move by the government, I welcomed it, and no wonder today I'm here with the team just to give them support and also talk to my people in Lima Ward on the need, on the importance of getting this vaccine. All of them, they've welcomed this idea. Today we are in the market. The marketeers are so happy, and we've just come up with a strategy. After talking to them, we give them the necessary information that they need. We cleared some myths and misconceptions which come with this vaccine. So once they gave us a go-ahead, then we started going table by table. So as you can see, that is how we are doing it.
The risk factors of cholera mainly include inadequate access to clean and safe water, poor sanitation facilities, poor solid waste management, and consumption of contaminated foods. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Government and its cooperating partners through the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock in Solwezi District is on course in the distribution of fingerlings and fish feed under the Scaling Up Nutrition and Support Program. Solwezi District Fishery Officer Mathias Lungu says the activity is being conducted in 2 wards, namely Kamalamba and Kapajimpanga. He was speaking to National Agricultural Information Services NICE during the distribution of fingerlings and fish feed. Mr. Lungu says the beneficiaries will be rendered technical support through camp extension officers from the Ministry of Agriculture. Meanwhile, a SUN beneficiary, Prudence Piri, says the program will ensure the stunting and malnutrition levels in the country.
We expect them to actually, after constructing the pond, they have to actually grow the fish. We have given them fingerlings for starts, and in our program under scaling up nutrition, the sustainability of the program is that we intend to actually yield that need for farmers to engage into aquaculture activities in the interest of nutrition as our key factor, as well as also empowerment in terms of money, that is a business.
Today we've received the fish. We are so happy, and these are the ponds, as you can see, where we will put our fish, and then we'll be here feeding the fish. We are so much committed because it is going to help our children in feeding them proper nutrition, because at the moment they are really lacking in a lot of things. So the fish, it's a good start. So we are really grateful for the initiators of this program, and also for the women themselves for the commitments that they've shown.
We'll take our second set of commercials. Coming next is international and sports news.
You know, I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the... She has so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Are you a qualified and skilled marketing person? Have you got the passion and motivation as a marketer? Camnet TV is looking for self-motivated, qualified marketers. For more details, please call 0962 965 883 or send your details to the email info@camnettvafrica.com.
Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Are you a talented and gifted soccer player? Camnet Stars will be conducting trials for young players between the age of 14 and 16 years. You never know, you could be America or Europe bound this July.
We need to pick some players so that we can come up with a very powerful squad which is supposed to travel outside the country and do a lot of work for Zambian football.
Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School Playgrounds. Time, 14 hours. You could be the next big soccer star in Europe. See you this Sunday, 20th February 2022.
Welcome back. Now getting into our international item. According to the French General Staff, around 2,500 to 3,000 French soldiers will remain in Sahel following their withdrawal from Mali that should take place within a 6-month period. French and European allies are to withdraw troops from Mali. French President Emmanuel Macron announced the strategic move on Thursday after talks with European counterparts participating in the fight against terrorism. A working dinner had gathered Sahelian president and EU leaders to discuss the matter on Wednesday. In a statement, they mentioned multiple obstructions by the transitional government of Mali.
France and European allies are to withdraw troops from Mali. French President Emmanuel Macron announced the strategic move on Thursday after talks with European counterparts participating in the fight against terrorism. A working dinner had gathered Sahelian presidents and EU leaders to discuss the matter on Wednesday. They mentioned multiple obstructions by the transitional government of Mali. France and its partners involved in counter-terrorism missions, namely the states involved in the Takuba task force, have decided to withdraw their military presence in Mali. This withdrawal will result in the closure of the holdings in Gossi, Menaka and Gao. It will be carried out in an orderly fashion with the Malian armed forces and the UN mission in Mali. The news comes after a nearly decade-long fight against jihadist insurgents. AU chairperson President Macky Sall insisted on the necessity to rely on a joint African-European action to eliminate terrorism. We have agreed with Europe that the fight against terrorism in the Sahel region cannot be a matter for African countries alone. And on this, there is a consensus, and it is fortunate that a commitment has been renewed to remain in the region and to reorganize the mechanism. France initially sent troops against jihadists in Mali in 2013, but the insurgency was never fully quelled. Over the years, the military operations had grown in popular in Mali and in France. According to the French General Staff, around 2,500 to 3,000 French soldiers will remain in Sahel following their withdrawal from Mali that should take place within a 6-month period. The 6th AU-EU summit on Thursday will see many issues at the forefront of the talks between leaders. It will be the first time the heads of state and government reunite since their meeting in 2017. The fight against COVID will be on everyone's minds, but migration is also a key issue. According to analyst Hassan Karanje, leaders will have to find better ways to tackle migration.
It is important that European leaders, and the EU especially, finds a framework of working with the African leaders and African countries, number one, in being able to arrest and manage the refugee problem between the source countries, the transit countries, as well as the destination countries. In the absence of coordination and joint task force, so to speak, it's going to be very difficult to be able to ensure that increased migration is not happening, and especially most of it's illegal.
Faced with an increasing competition with summits gathering emerging powers and African leaders, the EU will have to prove itself. On security matters, for instance, Russia has reportedly become a partner for authorities in countries which have experienced military takeovers.
What we are seeing in West Africa, in summary, is a result of, one, the institutional weaknesses that makes a nation state. Second, the legacy, colonial legacy that has left behind not only weak institutions, but has also ensured dependency when it comes to security over the former colonial master. Thirdly, there's a declining faith in the democratic project that, of course, came about on the continent during the window of change following the collapse of the Soviet Union. And last but not least, the increased threat of terrorism and the desperation of populations, societal dislocation that insecurity has caused has provided fodder for would-be political profiteers and military profiteers to be able to exploit that vacuum.
In a joint statement, AU chairperson and the president of the European Council mentioned prosperity, stability and peace as partnership priorities. It remains to be seen if the usual aid announcement closing the summit will actually meet both continents' needs. Tangier Med port on Morocco's north coast has become greatly prized. Located at the mouth of the Mediterranean, it is the first African container port, ranked 25th in the Lloyd's list, a global maritime industry specialist in 2020.
The port handled 65 million tons of goods in 2019, jumped to 75 million in 2020, and 101 million tons in 2021. It's a dazzling growth over such a short period.
Massive work on the port first began in 2002, and 5 years later it propelled the Moroccan port to the top of Africa, making it essential for the continental and the international trade.
Tangier Med is very connected to Africa, which represents today 35% of the port's total containerized traffic handle. Today, around 40 African ports are connected to Tangier Med, in which a significant part of African trade with the rest of the world is transiting.
Tangier Med won't stop now as it is doing so well. The Danish port operator APM Terminals announced last November it would invest an additional $400 million to extend and equip its platform at the port of Tangier.
We now get into our sports item. Zambia Chess Federation is confident that the international master GILLIAN will bring back medals in the forthcoming Uganda Open International Invitation Tournament. In an interview with Camnet Sports, the Federation Vice President Leslie Chikuse says BWALYA is the highest rated international master and has been confident he will bring medals home. 6 teams will be participating in the tournament, amongst them Zambia, Uganda, Angola and Egypt.
As a chess player to Uganda for an invitational tournament, Uganda Open International Master Invitation Tournament, that has attracted about 6 teams that include Angola, Egypt, Uganda, Zambia and Norway. So this is a tournament basically that is going to give an opportunity to the chess players in that tournament to either attend the International Master No or get a Grandmaster title. So it's a very important tournament. We have sent our highest rated international master, GILLIAN. You know that he's the second most highly rated chess player, apart from, of course, our Grandmaster Amansi Mutowe.
That sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. Stakeholders reject the EU proposal to scrap off grade 12 requirement for politicians. The Supreme Court overturns the liquidation of the Post newspaper. CDF note for colleges and universities. And in international news, French President and European allies announced their withdrawal from Mali. And in sports, Zambia Chess Federation confident that GILLIAN will bring medals. Before we go, here's our Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from the book of 2 Thessalonians 3 verse 3 to 5, and it reads, "But the Lord is faithful, he will strengthen and guard you from the evil one. We have confidence in the Lord about you, that you are doing and will do what we command. May the Lord direct your heart to God's love and Christ's endurance." Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.